All right, let's get into it. You've probably heard the term ERC20 thrown around a ton in the crypto world. But what in the world is an ERC20 token really? And, maybe more importantly, what is it not? Today, we're going to break down the standard that pretty much changed everything for Ethereum.
So yeah, have you heard of them? I'm guessing if you've spent any time looking at crypto, the answer is yes. But here's the thing, they are so much more than just another kind of digital money. In fact, if you're only thinking of them as money, you're missing the entire massive picture.
These things, they all live on the Ethereum blockchain, but they can represent pretty much anything you can imagine that has value. A token could be your loyalty points at a coffee shop. It could be a share in a brand new startup. It could even be the digital key that unlocks your front door. They're basically these programmable digital containers for value that you can send anywhere in the world.
And that right there is the real story. See, the idea of tokens on a blockchain wasn't exactly new, but this one specific set of rules, this one technical standard, is what created this incredible explosion of innovation and, yeah, a whole lot of investment. To get how it happened, we've got to go back in time and see what things were like before it existed.
Before ERC20, creating a token was, it was like building a brand new car from scratch every single time. There was no blueprint, no shared parts. It was just a complete and total free-for-all. And as you can imagine, this created some huge problems.
So on one side, you had just total chaos. Every single developer was writing their token smart contract, the code that defines all the rules, in a completely different way. This was so risky. Just one little bug in that custom code and poof, users' tokens could be stolen or just lost forever. And on top of that, every crypto exchange and every digital wallet had to write unique custom code just to support one single new token. Imagine trying to support hundreds of them. It was an absolute logistical nightmare that was seriously holding back growth.
And then, right out of that chaos, the Ethereum community came up with a solution. A really simple, elegant set of rules that would finally bring some order to the Wild West. They called it ERC20.
You know what's so cool about this? Is how simple the idea really is. ERC20 isn't some complex software. It's not a company, it's just a common standard. Think of it like a USB cable for your devices. It's a shared language that all of these different tokens agree to speak. And because of that, any wallet or any exchange can instantly talk to any ERC20 token, automatically, without having to write a single new line of code.
So what does this shared language actually say? Well, it all comes down to 6 mandatory commands, or functions. And you can kind of think of them in 3 simple groups. First, you have functions for just checking the books, like totalSupply and balanceOf. Those tell you how many tokens exist and who owns what. Then you've got transfer and transfer from, which are pretty obvious. They're for moving tokens around. And finally, you have approve and allowance, which is kind of like a permission system, letting one program spend tokens on behalf of someone else. Every single ERC20 token has to have these. It's guaranteed.
So here's the kicker. Once everybody started building tokens that followed the exact same rulebook, the entire system could suddenly just work together. And the result? An absolutely unprecedented explosion of creativity and capital.
I mean, just look at the numbers here. With this common standard in place, the floodgates just flew open. All of a sudden, thousands of developers could launch new projects. This number, over 36,000, that represents this incredible wave of experimentation, and it was all made possible just because one simple standard got rid of all the friction.
And this really shows you the economic impact. In 2017 alone, projects raised over $4 billion through what they called initial coin offerings, or ICOs, by selling these new ERC20 tokens to fund their ideas. So this standard didn't just create a technical connection, it literally created a brand new way to fund projects.
And just how easy did it get? Well, with tools like Token Factory, you could basically create your own token in minutes. Seriously. You just fill out a form, give your token a name, decide how many you want, pick a symbol, and you click a button. The tool writes all the code for you and deploys it straight to the blockchain. It became totally effortless, and that accessibility is why the whole token explosion happened so fast.
But, the story doesn't quite end there. As brilliant as the ERC20 standard was, it wasn't perfect. And in the middle of this new digital gold rush, a really critical flaw started to show up, and it had some very, very expensive consequences.
So, what could possibly be wrong with the standard that created all this value, right? Well, the problem wasn't really about what the standard included, it was about what it left out. By the end of 2017, over $3 million worth of tokens had just vanished.
They weren't hacked, they weren't stolen in the way you'd normally think. They were just lost, locked away inside of contracts, completely and permanently impossible to get back.
So here's what was happening. You could accidentally send your ERC20 tokens to a smart contract, again, just a piece of code on the blockchain that wasn't actually built to handle them. The contract wouldn't say no thanks, it would just accept the tokens and then have no way to ever move them again. They were just trapped. To fix this, the community proposed a new standard, ERC223, which was designed to prevent this exact mistake. It just goes to show you, this whole space is constantly learning and evolving.
So what's the big takeaway here? Well, the story of ERC20 is this powerful reminder that sometimes the most revolutionary things aren't some flashy new technology. Sometimes they're just simple, elegant rules that let everyone build together. A single standard unlocked a multi-billion-dollar ecosystem. It really makes you wonder, what kind of world will the next great standard build?